Hello. Gracie is Gracie. That is my dog. Hi everyone. Welcome back to TWLOHA at home. And it's a special one. Gracie. Hey. She'll calm down. We are celebrating the launch of our 2020 World Suicide Prevention Day campaign. We revealed the statement a few days ago. It is worth living for. Every year, this campaign leading up to Gracie. Sorry. It's been one of those weeks, days, years. Perhaps you can relate. Every year, this is the biggest thing we do leading up to September 10th. And we build a campaign out of words that have inspired us in recent months. And so these 3 words came from a poem written and performed by our friend Levi the poet, who lives in Albuquerque and is brilliant, one of our favorite voices. So his words inspired these words, which have inspired this campaign. I believe it's our 8th year in a row participating in World Suicide Prevention Day. And for the next month, we get to get creative and invite you into this conversation. There's a few announcements that I have. You can find out a whole bunch of ways to get involved at the website we've created for the campaign, which is worthlivingfor.com, worthlivingfor.com. And that will answer all of your questions. You can buy a pack. That's probably the most popular way people get involved. There's the t-shirt that I'm wearing, stickers. We have a face mask this year. There's different add-ons that you can choose. I want to point out the TWLOHA team is responding in the comments. That's something we have not had in the past, so that's awesome, where they have my back and they'll be filling in the gaps and giving you some links and information. So you can see TWLOHA team in the comments. Again, worthlivingfor.com. You can buy a pack. You can donate. You can become a fundraiser. It's always so cool to see people fundraise and talk about not only our story, but their story and how this conversation, how World Suicide Prevention Day is personal for them, for their family, for people they care about. You can stay connected through our community number. And so Chris said Thundercats. I don't know what that means, but I'll learn soon. We have 2 amazing guests today. One is Chris Sullivan, who is in the comments. The other is Morgan Harper Nichols. And so you guys are in for a treat over the next hour. The last thing I wanted to mention, you can be in the video that we are making in honor of World Suicide Prevention Day. And so again, worthlivingfor.com. We have set a goal of raising $250,000, and all of that money, will go to treatment and recovery. Will go to helping people get the professional help they need and deserve. And $250,000, that will translate to 3,500 individual counseling sessions, 3,500 individual counseling sessions, and 45,000 searches using the Find Help tool on our website, the Find Help tool on TWLOHA.com. So again, worthlivingfor.com. You can find all the info, the details, and we hope you'll stick with us for the next hour as we talk to Chris Sullivan and Morgan Harper Nichols. You can also ask questions. We love getting to your questions. There's a question mark icon in a little box at the bottom of your screen. So we see your comments. We love those. But if you specifically have a question for Chris or for Morgan, we would love to get to a few of those. And with that, I'm going to bring on Chris Sullivan.
I accepted the invitation. You were right in the middle of saying something.
I have your haircut right now.
Yeah, we are slowly becoming the same person.
I figured that you have a lot going on and I could fill in for you at work.
Look at this.
We are the same.
We're the same.
Oh my gosh.
We're the same person.
Dude, it's like, this is not big in the scheme of your life, but the wall behind you is impressive.
You know what? I did that. That was one of my first quarantine projects. And Rachel and I put it together, and we're very. Every day I look at it and I go, I'll toot my. I'm impressed with it. I didn't think it was going to come out this well, and it came out nice.
I think it's almost
It's
distracting.
exactly the same.
Like
It's
I
too
may just,
much.
yeah.
It's too much.
You had it first, in fairness, so I'm cramping your style.
Thanks so much. Oh, and there's Bear Maxwell. He's
Okay,
just
so I want to, for people that don't know, three huge things in random order. You released a song.
yeah.
You
Random
turned
order, good.
40.
Yep.
And your wife gave birth to a child.
Yes, to our first boy. Look at these. There's stuff like this around my house now. Look at that.
Oh, those are adorable. Those are impossibly cute.
Right? Who
Yeah.
fits in those?
Did you make those?
Yeah, I hand sewed these. I made, yeah.
Oh,
I
those are
sewed the little
awesome.
ears on, little bear pants, and let's see, yeah, a little hoodie with
That's so
ears. I
good.
mean, the house is just full of stuff like this.
That's awesome, as it
Yeah,
should be.
what is he, two and a half weeks old now? Yeah, 2.5
So
weeks
we were
old.
going to do one of these, but then you guys had a baby, and
Yes,
reasonably, we had to cancel.
we were supposed to go live, and I was like, we can't at the moment because
My wife is having a baby.
we're in labor, which witnessing a woman in labor, witnessing my wife in labor was one of the more impressive things I've ever seen in my life. It was such an honor to watch her do it. We labored at home for a long time before we went to the hospital to kind of get ready, and it was incredible.
Did I read that you delivered the baby?
Yes, yes, you did read that. So I'm sitting at the bedside, right? We're at the hospital. I'm sitting at the bedside, and much to Rachel and I's surprise, Rachel didn't really even quite notice because she was in it at that moment. She was in the process of delivering, and my doctor just like said, "Hey, come here," and brought me right front and center and told me where to put my hands and delivered the baby. It was incredible. It was incredible.
Um,
Talk
well,
about
man,
worth living for.
yeah, we're gonna get to that. I mean, you've got some material.
Yeah,
So obviously, we always find a way to talk about mental health in light of this campaign. We're
yeah.
tying it back to suicide prevention,
Hmm.
as you just touched on, reasons to stay alive, things that
Yeah,
make life worth living. And
yeah.
I will go on a limb and guess that the song is in third place in the recent developments of your life. But I
Yeah.
wonder what the last couple of weeks have been like between turning 40 and, more importantly, having a little guy.
Yeah, I mean, the song is an interesting kind of cherry on top of everything else. I perform under the name Joseph the Spouse when I perform my own music. And at one of these shows, back when people were still gathering in public, I was playing around LA, and this kid, Shane Patterson, came up to me after the show and said, "Hey, have you ever thought about doing electronic dance music?" And of course, I had not. And he said, "Well, we should do something." And that immediately terrified me. And all these things go on in my head. That makes no sense. I don't do that. You'll be embarrassed. You're too old for that. Like all of these things, right? And that's generally when I try to say yes
Yeah, yeah.
to things. And so right there, I was like, absolutely, let's do it. And sure enough, he came up with this song called Divided, um, that is that he wrote with a friend of his and that I related to on several different levels as far as, mental health struggles, depression, anxiety, kind of that struggle that goes on internally, um, between maybe what would be the ego and what would be that still small voice
Mm.
that guides us. And that division can be confusing because there can be very, very loud voices, attempting to appear to speak the truth, and that's kind of what the song is about. Yeah,
Mm.
there's a link in my on my page if anyone wants to hear it. It's a fun tune.
And then how did you feel about turning 40?
You know what? Turning 40 has been great. I mean, it's been the best year, so far, ironically enough, with everything going on in the world. I've had almost 6 months at home with Rachel, and we've had this pregnancy, and then to cap it all off, you know, I guess what, 9 days after my birthday, here comes
Yeah.
into the world. So yeah, so it's a good year.
And then I know it's early days, but what has it been like being a dad?
Yeah, it is a roller coaster of emotions. It's really, really, I feel really high. I feel high all the time, and I'm high on the love for this new being who has come into my life. I'm high off of watching my wife kind of support and nurture literally from her own body
Mm,
this new being. And then there's the exhaustion and the he eats every 3 hours, even all through the night. So we're up and it makes us a little delirious at times, and certainly has made me a little anxious in moments.
yeah.
But it's a really special experience.
I wanted to ask because I feel like something that has stood out to me is how intentional you and Rachel are um, about self-care and just I feel like
Yeah,
life in general, mental health, therapy. I felt like maybe pre-bear, you
yeah,
guys like to have things kind of mapped out, and I imagine some of that looks different now.
yeah. I mean, we part of our self-care, and this is a big part of mental health. Rachel and I are both firstborns. We're both alphas in our own way. We like to have a plan. We like to know what's going to happen. We like to control a situation. We like to control is a big theme, I think. I'll speak for myself in my life. And so when things mess with the plan, my brain can short circuit.
Mm.
And mental health wise, a lot of times when I find myself in pain or depressed or sad, there's a side of me that thinks things shouldn't be going this way.
Mm.
How, I shouldn't be feeling this. I shouldn't, and I get into a mindset of trying to rage against what is the reality of the situation instead of just acknowledging the reality of the situation, sitting in it, sharing it, saying it out loud, going to Rachel, going to my therapist, going to my friends, and kind of blowing those things out. And so yeah, so now we've got. I mean, ironically, we have a lot of structure in a way, and things are also completely unpredictable, and we're learning new things every day, and we're getting to know this being, and he's a funny guy.
Yeah. Um, Wait, here's a fun one, which I'm
Hmm.
guessing you've been asked, and I feel like people will be curious about. But how did your day job playing a father,
Hmm.
did any of that prepare you for being a dad in real life?
I mean, sure. Our writers and this is us is a really great rudimentary handbook for living. They're a bunch of really enlightened and intentional people in our writers' room, and so the stories that they tell and the relationships that they develop are something to aspire to in a lot of ways. They're not necessarily idealistic, but they are well-rounded, and so the way that my character or other characters in the show have approached parenthood or their marriage has certainly been worth paying attention to and kind of integrating into my life.
Mm. I wonder, and you and I haven't talked a lot about this, but in light of the campaign, in light of you have a lot right now that's
Yeah,
clearly worth living for. And I
yeah.
wonder if there were earlier versions of you that you'd have to kind of, that maybe would find it hard to believe that someday you would be happily married, a new father, have a successful career doing what you love. Like, were there times when these sort of dreams felt impossible, or even the idea of being healthy and happy maybe felt
Sure,
impossible?
sure. I mean, absolutely. There were times in my life where things were really, really dark,
Mm.
and I allowed the darkness to kind of take over and kind of drive the car for a while, and kind of there's a self-indulgent side to being an artist that believes that it's impossible to be creative without
Mm.
being in pain. Um,
Yeah.
and I am glad to report that I have been the most creative in my life when I am happy and healthy and grounded and connected, and not allowing myself to not allowing my pain or my darkness to make my life small.
Mm.
Life is easy when it's small. It feels comfortable, it feels safe, um, it feels manageable, but it's it's isolating and it's depressing and it's slowly corrosive. And since I've dedicated myself to having the biggest, most beautiful life possible, that's what's happened.
Mm. I feel like we've talked about recent years, we've talked about therapy, and I feel like you've
Mhm.
been an advocate for that. You've been open
Yeah.
about that. But I wonder, like, big picture, zoomed out, in the little bit of time we have, like, where did some of that shift begin? Like, how to go from that dark, lonely, maybe unhealthy place to even begin to go toward the life that you have now?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've realized about pain and its inevitability is that it does have it is useful.
Hmm.
Um, my pain is information. When I'm in pain, I'm being given information about something in my life that needs healing, that needs change, that needs connection. Um, and to move towards therapy, one of the things that I had realized when other people shared their pain with me, it helped me process my own pain.
Hmm.
And that's the key. Like that's the key. Regardless of whether or not I have someone in my life, which I do in my wife Rachel, to share these things with, to process these things with. She doesn't have enough time in the day to process all the things that I want to process.
Yeah.
So I employ someone once a week to help me do the heavy lifting. Um, and it's a really fascinating exercise, to go back through, with my therapist, to go back through my life and heal things and make repairs and make little emotional adjustments and reframe things and get a different perspective. And there are ways that I can do that with friends, and there are ways that I can do that with my wife. And then there are times when I need a professional to come in and handle some of the deeper issues.
Yeah.
Gracie.
Gracie's being good. She's right here. She was already bad, but she's being good now.
Whenever my dog barks, I'm just going to blame it on Gracie.
Wait, how are the dogs doing with the baby?
They're doing great. Um, Harry is like the little Nana, just follows Bear around and lays down next to him wherever he is. Sally can take it or leave it. Sally walks up, gives a little sniff, and says, "Yeah, not for me. Not for
Um,
me."
I feel like I asked something similar already, but I hear people talk about when the, when they become a parent, they realize how selfish they were or are. And I wonder, have you had any of those feelings of, or even if it's just a time in the day thing, where do certain things feel drastically different?
I mean, Yes and no. I had done a I've done a lot of work on my selfishness and my self-centeredness in the last 3 to 4 years. So I think that put me in a good position to be a father when it happened. That it lined up fairly well, but there's always room for improvement. There are certainly times where I want to be doing one thing, but the situation demands another, and it's nice to hand that over
Wait,
and
at
just
first
and
I thought
just
you meant
just go with the flow.
at first I thought you meant just hand it over to Rachel.
Yeah, just hand it over yeah, to Rachel. No, I
Oh,
think I'm doing it. I think I'm doing a pretty good job in the past 2.5 weeks. Rachel's given a thumbs up,
okay,
which
sweet.
yeah,
Her
uh,
vote counts a lot.
yeah,
Do you mind if we get to a question or two?
yeah. Let's see some questions.
Hey, I want to remind you guys you can submit a question. There's a little question mark box at the bottom of your screen, so we'd love to hear from you.
Are we twins? The answer is yes. This is the big reveal that Jamie
Oh,
Tworkowski and I have
yeah.
always been twin brothers.
I have to get stronger to put myself in stunt double position, but
Yeah,
I have it going on up here.
you know, you could do stand-in work for me instead of stunt double,
Yeah,
and then we could just hang out all day.
I got to go there one time and watch you work,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I liked it.
yeah.
Craft services.
That's where it's at.
So we can't speak for Morgan, but you can speak for Chris. How did you become involved with To Write Love on Her Arms?
So a long, long time ago in a far, far away land called Chicago, I was on an improv team, and every month we dedicated our shows to raising money to a charity. And a mutual friend of ours, Dustin Whitehead, said, "My buddy Jamie just started this charity called To Write Love in Her Arms. Maybe you could raise money for them." And we said, "Sure." And we raised $800 um,
Announced.
through our month of improv shows. And I've just been a fan of your message and your merchandise ever since.
Thank you for not throwing me under the bus, because there is a version of the story where you tried to be more involved and be my friend, and I sort of didn't take you up on it for a while, and that was
Yeah.
really stupid of me, and I don't like that
No,
part of the story.
no, it's fine. You know, when Jamie first started this organization, he thought he was pretty fancy. He thought, I don't need any friends or any help. Um, no,
Wait,
I don't
no,
know what you were busy. You were
no,
busy.
but the
I
best, but then
emailed
it's
Jamie. I
amazing
emailed
where
Jamie several times. I was like, I would love to help with this
I feel like, yeah,
organization.
you
What
would
can I
email
do?
like once a year, and finally I looked you up, and I realized you were on this show that everyone in my family loves, but I hadn't seen yet. And I texted my family and I was like, "Hey, this guy wants to work with us," and they were just like, "You're such an idiot." Okay, we got a couple more questions. Is that cool?
All right. Yeah, let's see.
Okay. Oh, here's a good one. What does worth? We'll say, what does worth living for mean to you?
Um, it means a lot of things. You know, I mean, it means not only do I have things in my life that are worth many things in my life that are worth living for, but I want my life to have worth. I want my life to have an impact. I want my existence here to have impacted people for the better and to have created as many positive relationships as possible and to tell good stories and to challenge people to examine their own feelings and their own beliefs and their own thoughts and to share them with the people around them. So that's what it means to me.
You always say you want to be of service.
Yes, I want to be of service. I
I
think
like that.
I think love, service, devotion, as Ram Dass would have it. To be of service to, Richard Rohr, one of my who I would claim as one of my spiritual I could spend the rest of my life doing that, and it would still not be enough. So that's kind of what I've tried to dedicate as much of my life to as possible.
Love it. I saw a good question.
Never mind the questions. People cannot get over the fact that we look alike.
I can't even get over it.
I mean, we came in with strong beard game.
This is your look, and I don't usually do. I usually do this all the way around, and then today I did half.
No, it's great.
Thank you.
I would say you've never looked more handsome.
I feel like you've answered this question in previous episodes.
Yeah.
But I wonder, and I try to acknowledge this. I didn't say it I feel like you're having a pretty good year, you, Chris Sullivan, but I think we want to.
But 2020 has been crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think part of what people are always curious about is, hey, what's been working for you? And I wonder if some of that's in this answer.
Well, like I said earlier, when I say pain, and pain and suffering doesn't necessarily mean physical pain or even emotional pain. I find myself in pain whenever things aren't going my way, whenever I can't interact with the world in the way that I want to, whenever I can't go outside and do whatever I want whenever I want. These restrictions cause me pain in a way, right? And so the quarantine has been an excellent exercise in accepting what is. The great isness of the situation. All right, if this is the situation, what can we do? What can I do to relieve myself of this pain, quote unquote, pain and suffering?
Sure.
So I've certainly found a myriad of ways to continue connecting with friends and family. We've figured out ways to raise money to help as many people as we can. And also I've taken the time to really adjust the way I look at my life. Because I can go. I can schedule myself within an inch and fly through a day without ever stopping to breathe. And now the majority of my day is stopping, arriving in the moment, and taking a deep breath and just being grateful for everything that I have. I can't remember where I heard this, but it was perfect. It's not possible to be grateful for everything, but there is always something to be grateful for. And so I try to find that something in as many moments throughout the day as possible.
Love it. Let me see what else. Yeah. Thank you guys for the questions. There's a bunch of good ones.
Hello, Brazil. Hello, friends.
Brazil is well represented.
Bonjour. Brazil. I think this is us. Does well in Brazil. Oh, in Romania. Hello.
Let's see. This is similar to what I asked, but I think they asked it better. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
If I could give my younger self one piece of advice, what would it be? I don't know. It's not that serious. It's just not that serious.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got myself caught up in a lot of, tailspins because I thought things were so important. And they're just not, because I used to grip and hold on to things and try to control things and try to manipulate situations into situations that were less painful or whatever it is. And surrendering to the moment has been a valuable lesson for me. But here's the thing, even the idea of going back and saying something to your younger self wouldn't listen to you. That's the point. That's the point, is that we have to go through all of those things. Those things are necessary in order to learn certain lessons. You can't just teach people certain things. You have
Yeah.
you have to experience certain things in order to learn them.
I also remember being a kid and thinking 40 was so old, and now that I'm 40, it
Yeah,
doesn't feel that old.
no, not at all. Look at our fully brown beards.
Facial
Yeah,
hair.
yeah.
Um, oh, people, I have noticed this question. So whatever you're comfortable saying, people are asking about, can you go back to work? Can you film some more television?
Oh yes, yeah. We're planning on it right now. We've had lots of family Zoom calls with the This Is Us cast and with Dan Fogelman trying to figure out what we can do and how we can do it safely. And it's going to involve a lot of testing, and it's going to involve a lot of quarantining, and it's going to involve um, just a lot of safety precautions so that we can continue to tell these stories because we based on everything that's going on in the world, we have some good stories to tell and some good topics to discuss. So hopefully, I don't know when. We haven't gotten a specific date yet, but hopefully within the next couple of months, we'll be able to get back to work.
Mm, that's awesome. I
Yeah.
I got one more for you. Um, from a distance, and I don't have a lot to compare it to, but from a distance, you and your castmates seem uniquely close. It feels like you guys are friends in real life. I know it seems like
Yeah.
these are some of your closest friends, and I wonder, um, is that accurate and is that really special for you?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't claim closest friends, but I think we are a unique and mathematically, what's the word I'm looking for? Unlikely bunch. Like it's hard to get a bunch of creative people together that get along as well as we do. And we really enjoy each other's company,
Yeah.
and we really respect each other as artists. So that's that vibe that you're getting, and I think that's what comes through in the show. Um, but yeah, I think ironically enough, Mandy's husband, Taylor, and I have become probably the closest. Um, and
Dude,
you
his
know,
new song's about Florida.
of course it is,
So I love it. And the video is just St. Augustine. It's so great.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
he's for anybody. Taylor Goldsmith is the lead singer and main songwriter for a band called Dawes, and he makes incredible music. He's one of the greatest living American songwriters, in my opinion. And he and I have an album of music that we're waiting to put out. And we're trying to find a good time, and we're hoping to release it in a time where I could play shows, but who knows when that's going to be.
And
So
that'll
we'll see.
be Joseph the Spouse, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple of tracks on SoundCloud if anyone wants to check them out. They're kind of hiding in there, just for people to stumble upon. So.
And then will you remind people the song we talked about at the very beginning?
Yeah, the song is called "Divided" by Shane Patterson, featuring Chris Sullivan, and it's just ironically, it's a pretty great dance song about
Yes.
uh, about feeling emotionally and mentally divided.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, well it's good to see you. It's
Yeah,
good
it's
to
good to
hear
see
from
you
you.
too. It's good to
Thanks
see
for
me. Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Thanks for taking time in the midst of this new chapter.
Yeah, no worries. Let's say hello to Brazil again. I think Talita wanted
Portugal.
to
I saw
Portugal.
France.
Who else?
Rachel. Hello to Rachel.
Yeah, Jamie. Jamie says hi, Rachel. Hi, Jamie. Ciao. Yeah, Talita in Brazil. Ciao. Ciao, Italia. Thanks so much for having me, man.
Absolutely. Love you,
All
man.
right.
Talk to you
Love you
soon.
too. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Okay, we are gonna bring Morgan on. Thank you so much to Chris Sullivan. Morgan and I look different, so you guys can stop with the twin thing. So that'll be good. Chris Sullivan has become a dear friend, one of my favorite people. So thank you to him. Okay. Bringing on Morgan, Harper Nichols. I was supposed to pin a comment. Hi,
Hello,
friend.
hello.
Hi.
Well,
Let
we
me
do
just
both
say
have
one
gray
thing.
hair, so there's that.
Wait, what?
So we both have gray hair, so
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
that.
But I got more down here right now.
Yeah,
Um,
mine's is up
Chris and
here.
I
I don't,
looked
I don't have
so
it down
much
here.
alike today.
Yeah, I was cracking up at that.
I had a feeling it would happen, but then seeing it was different.
Yeah,
You guys, I messed up. I was supposed to pin a comment, um, which I'm not gonna do now. But when you ask where to go for more information about the campaign, it's worthlivingfor.com.
yes.
Actually, you know what? I lied. I'm gonna put that in. Sorry, Morgan. I'm just gonna pin this.
Oh no, you're good.
I was having a day right before this. I unplugged the
I
computer.
understand.
I kept messing up.
Hey, I get it.
Worth living for. But I'm
Like you said,
excited.
it's one of those days, but it's also just like one of those years,
Oh,
you know?
totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It is
Okay.
totally okay.
So it's not the greatest comment, but I pinned the website for the campaign, worthlivingfor.com. Sorry I didn't do that
Awesome.
sooner. Morgan, thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you
I
for
meant to tell Chris that you're a big Chris Sullivan fan and you keep ending up on at the same time, but then you haven't been able to meet yet.
I know. It's so surreal, but I'm honored to be included in the same live stream.
Well, and I always tease you because you're the headliner.
Oh no, definitely not.
Um, so we've done a couple of these with you in recent months, but you have a new home, and so I wonder if you could talk about that. Where do you live now?
Yes, so I am currently in Arizona. I almost said Arizona, California, but that doesn't make sense. But yeah, currently moving and moving during 2020 is just a whole thing. And yeah, this year has been, I'm just gonna be candid, it's been a tough year. I mean, for everyone. But just in personal life, there's just been a lot of stuff going on that I've just had to manage and navigate, and I'm just grateful to be here.
Mm,
That's honestly the biggest thing. It's just like, as cliche as it sounds, taking it day by day and allowing myself to take breaks and to rest, which is really hard.
yeah.
So yeah, that's what I've been up to.
Was there anything that Chris said that you related to or that stood out?
Oh yeah, so Chris just became a parent, and I was just, yeah, they just had a baby, and I was just having some flashbacks. He's almost 15 months, which is so surreal. He loves to climb things. He's getting into running, which that's just a new category because our
Yeah.
house is that big. So like, I don't know where you're running to, but yeah, quarantining and living in small quarters with a little one is definitely an adventure. I saw someone say this, and I honestly think about it. I'll say this to any other parent out there. I think this applies of like, and I don't know, I think pets might fall in this category too, of just like having a child is a mindfulness practice.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess it is. It's like you have to be so focused. I mean, you blink and they're already, trying to climb on the roof.
Yeah.
So it's so that is a positive. It's just that like, yeah, he literally helps me stay in the present moment. Like I can't get in my head too much because he needs us for everything. So yeah.
Yeah. I wonder, so through the lens of mental health, kind of what recent months have been like in terms of, we're all navigating this pandemic and how the world has changed. Um, Obviously, there's the social issues, the world, and especially here in the U.S., thinking,
Mhm.
talking, learning about racial injustice, moving in the midst of that. I know you've been working on a book. And so what has it been like to you're a mom, you're a wife, juggling
Mhm.
all of these things?
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a lot busier than I've wanted. I have been having like a really hard time because a lot of the places that and for me it's been very freeing to talk about it of like, okay, let's just say it. Like let's say it's hard. It's okay to say it's hard.
Mm,
A lot of the places where I feel the most at home and I feel like I can just go for a few hours and kind of get into the zone, I don't have access to anymore. I love museums, I love libraries, I love sitting in coffee shops. None of those things are open.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm like, I think those three things are going to be the last things to open.
Oh, totally. I moved to
I'm just like,
Nashville to,
there's got to be a safe way to walk around a museum. Like, it's already socially distanced. I don't understand. I mean, I trust they know what they're doing. But I'm just like, man, I just want to walk around a museum. I just want to look at some paintings. So
yeah.
it's really hard because I'm like, yeah, I enjoy walks, but not
Well,
that much.
and you live in Arizona.
Yeah, I'm like, it's hot outside. It's hot.
It's
It's hot
beyond hot.
everywhere.
Yeah.
It's hot everywhere. Like I see friends in Texas and Georgia saying like it's way hotter than normal. And so, yeah, I think a lot of us are dealing with that of just like, living with that tension of like, okay, yes, it is a privilege to have a place to live for one, to have running water, to have the lights on, to have all these things. It's a privilege. And at the same time, it's so tough because it's like, there's all of these other things that were a part of my life that just aren't anymore. And for me, it's just sort of like accepting that tension and just saying like, hey, that's okay. Like, it's okay to say to your spouse or your partner or whoever you live with, like, hey, this is hard. I think that's better than holding it all inside. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So,
So you kind of touched on a few of the things that have been hard, uniquely hard. And I wonder like, what are some of those places you've been able to turn for self-care or therapy or just ways that you've been able to relieve some of that stress, pain, anxiety?
Yeah. So this is such a cliche answer for me. I feel like I answer the same way every time, but it's just so true in that I really do love making art. Now, I love writing too, but being at home all the time, I've created a distinction between the two.
Yeah,
and I realized that sometimes writing, I kind of get in my head a little too much. I don't know if you ever experienced that as a writer. It's like, it's a real thing. You're sitting there, you're contemplating, and all of these old things are coming up. And sometimes you're like, I just can't go there right now.
Yeah.
But for some reason with art, it feels a lot more childlike. I watch my son, like, he loves to color. I mean, he loves to color with milk and juice. So he'll take like his sippy cup, dump it upside down, and just like, make designs in the carpet. But I'll just watch him. I'll watch him and I'm just like, it's so mindless for him. It's just a way of giving yourself something to do. And I think, in a time where so much of our world is digitized and automated and we don't have to physically do things anymore. We don't have to physically write letters anymore. We don't have to, lick a stamp. Like if you have to lick a stamp, that's like a rare, we don't do those things often. Actually, we probably should because the U.S. Postal Service needs us to lick some stamps. So yes, get some stamps, everybody. But that's such a random tangent.
I'm with you.
It's just finding things to physically do with my hands is important. So for me, art is that. And then I have been I don't like to cook, but I've been trying to do that more because it's just like, can't get takeout forever.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not cheap. It's just not. So, I've been trying to cook more and I've been trying to just find things. Like I actually remember, so I have this piano here. I've been playing piano more. And I actually had a therapist tell me some time ago, and if you're a therapist listening to this, like feel free to correct me because I'm not sure I'm saying it exactly right. But he was saying something about how playing piano and playing guitar is something about like the bilateral movement of it and just like your hands being extended like on one end of the piano on the other, like that's just like a form of centering. Wow. So yeah, and he gave some other examples, but I can only remember the piano and guitar. But yeah, just little things like that, like things that don't force me to think, like, because when I'm writing, it's hard for me to just write mindlessly. Our brains are wired to tell stories. I'm trying to like make a story. Yeah. So yeah, just little things that involve, using my hands and staying in the air conditioning. Those two.
No, that makes sense. I wonder, your work is so unique because you get to do something you love, but I know it's work and you're
Mhm.
juggling multiple projects, you have things that you share every day
Mhm.
online. I know you're working on a book, you have your app, you take on other projects, like, and then you're doing all this from home. So I wonder, has it been hard to figure out a healthy balance with work from, being a mom, being a wife, having time for yourself?
Yeah, that's one area that I'm very proud of myself in, that I feel like I've become a lot more disciplined, and that I figured out that and I think, I don't remember where I first read it, but it was just this concept of like, some people are morning people, some are evening people. Like, we have different times of day where we can kind of get into our workflow,
Yeah.
even creatively, even when it's work that you love. Like, you can't just sit there and do it 24 hours a day. So I figured out the early hours in the morning, before my son wakes up, that is when I get to work. So
Mm.
this morning I actually started at 4 a.m. because
Wow.
I woke up and I couldn't get back to sleep, but I was just like, well,
Yeah.
time to get to it, and I did, and it wasn't stressful. But there comes a time, especially after lunch, where I just my body just knows it needs a break. So
Yeah.
so yeah, I would say that's probably where the biggest balance is. It's just I really go by the time of day it is, and
Mm.
I'm like, if it's 2 p.m., then it's just no. I'm not gonna try to start a brand new project right now. Like,
Yeah.
that's just not. It doesn't work. So I have been doing good about that. I did have a few weeks in here where I had like some deadlines just overlapping,
Mm.
and I still would take a break, but I had to work on the weekends. But
Yeah.
the weekends don't really feel like weekends anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so yeah, I feel like that's an area where I'm pretty proud of myself. I've been
Do you
getting
ever,
pretty good at that.
do you take naps?
I wish I could. I wish I was a napper. My, I don't know. I don't know how people sleep in daylight. Like, it's just.
I can teach you. I'm a fan.
I actually remember being like 8 years old and having to go to bed at like 8 o'clock, and in the summer it was bright outside. And this is probably where it comes from. I remember lying in bed at 8 and thinking, because my parents said go to bed, I'm like, when I'm a grown up, I'm never going to sleep when it's bright outside. So, yeah, I stuck to that.
Do you mind if we take a couple questions?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
And I'll remind you guys. It looks like you don't need any reminder because they keep pouring in. But if you have a question for Morgan, there's a little question mark icon at the bottom of your screen, and we would love to get to a few of those.
Yes,
We will
I love
start right
that.
now. Okay.
Yes, I enjoyed
We have
hanging out
we have a few Brazil questions for Chris. I'll go past those.
with you.
Uh, let's see.
Thanks, guys. Just
Please
responding to
come
some
to
of the
India. That
comments.
could be for Chris or you. I think you're both welcome in India.
Would
I've
love
been
to
to
go to
India.
India.
It's awesome.
I would love to go to India.
Um, what about burnout? How do you get back on your
Mm.
feet when you're burning out? So how does Morgan Harper Nichols deal with burnout?
Mm. I feel like I deal with burnout in a big way, in the sense that, like, I burnout for me, a lot of times it kind of sneaks up on me. I don't know if
Mm.
other people deal with that, if they kind of feel the burnout sort of slowly, the fire is slowly burning. For me, it just sneaks up on me because I'm
Yeah,
just so busy doing so many things, and then I'm just like, why am I exhausted? Why am I suddenly unmotivated? Why do I not know what I'm doing? What's going on? It's like, oh, this is probably burnout. For me, honestly, the past few times where I have experienced that, especially during quarantine, I have just given myself permission to not try to figure out, like, where's the burnout coming from? Like, let's
mm,
look at the to-do list and just allow myself to get up from the desk, get up from whatever I'm doing, and just go sit and just stare at the wall, like, if I need to. I've been giving myself a lot of permission to do that. Like, even though I can't take naps during the day, I have done this several times where I literally would just go lay in bed and I'll just stay there. And I'm just gonna be honest, like sometimes I get on my phone, sometimes I don't.
Yeah, yeah,
I think it's important to have time away from our screens, but sometimes you just want to watch silly videos. Like
yeah,
sometimes you just want to watch some Office reruns.
yeah,
And I think that's okay. I think that's okay. I think it's different. If there are platforms that trigger things for you, then
mm,
leave those.
yeah,
Absolutely.
sure.
Yeah, sometimes there have been times during quarantine since March where I have had to delete Instagram from my phone,
Mm,
um, and just say, you know what, I just can't do it right now. Um, and I'll keep it on my iPad because I need it for work. So when I have to like upload something from work, I just do it from my iPad and then I leave it alone. But yeah, I don't even remember how long, but there was a period, I think at least 2 weeks, where I had deleted it from my phone because it wasn't even so much of like a comparison thing, but it was just like overload. It was just
yeah,
so much information. And you're already, having to watch the news and listen to your local news and figure out
yeah,
what's going on. It's a lot of information. Like our brains can only handle so much. So yeah, I think a lot of it is just giving yourself permission, to order the pizza,
yeah.
sometimes to watch the what is that Netflix show, the Sugar Rush show, and just
Oh, I don't know. I bet someone
yeah,
in the comments
it's
will
like
know.
it's a baking show where they bake
Okay.
things. So yeah, yeah, and sometimes it is yoga, sometimes it is meditation, sometimes it is a hike. But I think there's a lot of people who don't even have access to those things. They don't. We're not all able to just get up and go outside for whatever reason, or yeah, just the state of the world. Like you just may not feel safe. Like that might not be even feel safe for you. Like just to be honest, like the times that I've been hiking as a Black person, I'm always just like, why am I the only Black person out here? Like
Mm, yeah,
it takes me a minute to kind of get out of that zone a little bit and even get to a sort of safe, I just feel free in nature. Like that doesn't come naturally to me. So for me, it's just like, hey, the baby steps matter too. And sometimes that is, Netflix reruns, and that's
yeah.
okay.
That's awesome. Let's see what else we got. Uh,
I need to get some glasses.
oh, sorry. There's a bunch.
I can do rapid fire. I know I keep getting
Okay.
like essay responses.
Here's one. I know you got a husband, you got your son, but do you deal with loneliness?
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting because I've never really been much of like I'm not too much of like a hugger naturally. So that's something that I feel like I took for granted, just because I don't naturally think about that.
Mm,
Um, but now, yeah, it's strange when it's I feel like I'm in a place where I'm starting to, I feel like there's grief for the things that were in my life that I miss. And then there's
mm,
also the grief for the things that I took for granted.
yeah,
And I think that is, yeah, community and friendship and hanging out with people. That's something that I took for granted, being around people for sure. And so, yeah, that's something that I'm very mindful of because I am in a position where I get to see some of my family members and they're literally the only people I've seen for
yeah,
months. Which when you think about that, that's really wild.
yeah.
That's wild.
But
When
you also moved away from some family, right?
Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I've got family everywhere, and that's been tough because I have family in places in the U.S. where Um, I'll just say, I mean, I've lost family members due to COVID,
Yeah.
plural, and yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
I just have to keep reminding myself that this is collective trauma that we're experiencing, and if I can't make sense of it, it's okay because none of us can. And um, Yeah, that's something I don't know if I have an answer for it, but it is something that I think about a lot, and I do feel like I'm becoming more appreciative of the people that I do get to see.
Yeah.
Um, like even though we're not even interacting, like I noticed my husband did this yesterday. We got a package from somewhere, I don't know, just like a regular package delivered, and the person rang the doorbell, and they just, they kind of go on about their way. And my husband opened the door, and I don't know, the person's like running down the sidewalk. He's like, "Thank you very much."
Yeah, yeah.
Like, we're so desperate.
Oh, totally.
I was
Yeah.
like, we're so desperate for like just connection.
Oh, yeah. No,
Just
I
like, how often do we just like go out of our way? I mean, the person, I didn't even see who they were. They were literally already back to the car. And he was just like, "Thank you."
yeah, yeah. No, that human
So
interaction is so special now.
yeah, and it kind of makes you think in a way of just like, how many small interactions, that we do have that can be more meaningful, that we can
Yeah,
pay more attention to. So yeah.
sure. Are you cool if we end this to stay under an hour and then jump back on just for a few minutes? Would that be okay?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Sounds
So
good.
you guys, we're gonna end this one because Instagram, they shut us down after an hour, and then we're gonna come right back on. I'm gonna add Morgan, and we'll take a few more questions. So
Sounds
thank you guys. I'll
good.
see you in a second.
All right, bye.
Hello again. It always takes a second to know if anyone is here. Hello, people are coming back. Thanks for jumping back on. I'm gonna bring Morgan back on. Hi,
I'm here.
thank you so much. You have a great plant, and I know plants are a thing now. You have a great
Oh,
plant in the background.
thank you. That is a fake plant.
Oh, well, it's doing the job. It looks great.
Thank
And
you.
they require less water, I imagine.
Yes, just a little
Um,
less.
so the one bummer when we do it this way, we lose your wonderful questions. So if you don't mind resubmitting a question for Morgan, you can do that at the bottom of your screen. There's the little question mark icon. Morgan's nice enough to stick around a few minutes and answer a couple more questions. I feel like I always ask you some version of this, but I imagine people are curious, like, what do you do with the pressure of being Morgan Harper Nichols, and with that, and not just the pressure of your name or your following, but I know you want your work to be great. When you create something and share it, you want it to be beautiful and impactful, and that's a lot to live with or to live up to, post after post, day after day, multiple projects, books. I wonder, how do you navigate that pressure, whether it feels like outside expectations or even your own,
Hmm.
maybe through the
Yeah,
lens of mental health?
yeah. So you know, for me, I never real when I became an artist, poet, I never used those words for myself. It was actually people. I just started to share my thoughts, and people would say, "I like your poem," or "I like your art." I'm like, "You consider this art?" Like,
Yeah,
I don't, I don't think it's that good. So for me, I didn't have those labels starting out, which was very important because then for me, it just became, and I think I've still maintained a lot of that of just like I want to share from a place of what's been unresolved within me.
mm,
Um, and when I do that, and I'm not necessarily concerned about it being deep or profound or positive or whatever, then it sort of becomes like, okay, there's at least one other person out there who feels that same thing. And that is honestly like an anchor for me. Like there are times where, being a business owner, like I have a shop, like I have to have a presence on social media. Like I wish
mm.
it wasn't that way. I wish we were, old school with the brick and mortar, but we're not,
Yeah.
that's just not the world we're living in, especially not this year. So, I do have to be present here, and that's very hard for me at times. And I honestly can say I anchor myself with it'll be one comment that someone says, one message of like, this helped me go through this, or thank you for sharing this. Like, I know that sounds so cliche, but that is fundamental for me. And I honestly think that that is what has been able to sustain me through this. Because there are some days where, because I invite people to message me, that you can email me, you can share your story with me. And there's some days where I'm just having a terrible day, and then I open someone's message and I'm like, oh, wait a second. What they're going through, I can't even imagine that. They probably actually will be grateful to be in my position. And yeah, it's been, this year has been there's been a lot of reality checks, honestly. I mean, I've had a lot of moments where, even just being a Black American, where I'm just like, I'm glad my Black father is alive. I'm glad my Black brother-in-law is alive. I'm glad my Black son is alive. Like, we're at that point. Like, the fact that certain people in our lives, if they are breathing, if they are here, that matters. And yeah, I've just had to really anchor myself in that, because earlier this year, I had 2020, I had way more ambition than I've ever had in my entire life. I was like, I am such an introvert. I do not like to leave the house. I do not like social events. And I was like, I don't care. We're going to go right for it. And we had a scheduled all across the country, and we're going to do all these things. And yeah, it was real humbling to have just like, a lot of people probably had that. It was like that 1 or 2 weeks where not even 1 or 2 weeks. I think it was like 48 hours where you just started getting all these emails of like, canceled. And that was really, it brought me down to the ground, honestly. Yeah. And suddenly, like, the simple things like, oh, we've got toilet paper. Like, suddenly
that was a moment. The toilet paper moment was real.
That was a thing. I still, like, I do not say this lightly. I still freak out a little bit when I'm like, wait, there's no toilet paper in here. What happened? Are we running out? Is it happening again? But, I think for a lot of us, that it's painful to have to be in that place. And at the same time, it's like, now we know the power of just being grateful for the little things.
Yeah.
So sure. I just try to stay in that. And then I did hit a point when I mentioned where I deleted Instagram for like 2 weeks. I was just like, I'm done. I can't do this right now. And I was still sharing them from my iPad, but it just wasn't on my phone. I was kind of just not responding to a lot of things. I had a moment where I just hopped on randomly, and I had gotten like a really racist comment, and someone had mentioned me in something. And I almost didn't respond, but I just so happened to be with my sister, and I sort of gave her what my response was to that thing. And she was like, I think you should share that. She was like, people need to know what you're going through. People need to know about this. So I shared it, and the guy, it got worse. Like, he literally just went on and on and on, and, and tried to excuse it. It was, that part of it was just like, okay, shaking my head, walking away. But the other side of it is that I got so many supportive, encouraging, kind messages from people saying like, I'm with you. Like, that was out of line. They shouldn't have said that. I totally see what you're saying. And that honestly gave me fuel and a lot of encouragement of just like, I think sometimes we forget, because, we don't see all of each other's posts. We don't comment on all of each other's posts. Like, you and I, like, we don't comment on every single one of each other's posts. Like, sometimes we forget that, oh, but there are people here, though, that really do care. Yeah. It's like, they may not watch every Instagram story. Sure. They may not like every video, but there are literally people that if I said I need help, they would rally around and they would rally their friends around. So that's been encouraging, because it's hard to remember that when it's just, you know, you're just looking at little profile pictures. Like,
Totally. Yeah.
it's hard to remember that if like 5 people like your post, like that's 5 people. Like,
Yeah.
if you were around those 5 people, you know, socially distanced or at a different
Sure,
time,
sure.
like that would be impactful. Like 5 people, if you're just imagine, like if you shared a photo and say, here's a moment I'm proud of, and 5 people in front of you
Oh,
are like,
yeah.
oh, I really like that. That's so cool that you did that. That would be special.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Do
it's
you
probably
find,
the
because
best way.
I relate to what you just said. My short example is I shared recently something I wasn't planning to share was just that I had a positive COVID test.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to keep it quiet and do my 10 days. I thankfully didn't have any symptoms. And my mom
Uh-huh.
encouraged me to post about it. And I was so glad I did because so many people responded. So many people,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, comments and texts, and basically just let me know that they cared about me, even though I didn't have any symptoms. And it just reminded me that when we choose to be vulnerable, it gives people the chance to show up and to care. And I wonder if you've experienced that. It sounds like what you just shared was a great example, but
Yeah.
just when you let people into something vulnerable, you get to participate in sort of the love and the kindness that follows.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a pretty pivotal moment for me because I hadn't really felt safe to talk about that part of my story of just dealing with racism. Because I've dealt with that. I've been creating content online since I was a teenager. I've dealt with it in different ways, but I never felt safe to talk about it. So I think it's pivotal when we have those moments where the light switch comes on and say, okay, at least with this group of people, like I am safe to share this.
Mm.
So yeah, I totally agree with that.
Do you
Yeah.
mind if we do it just a little bit of rapid fire and then we'll let
Oh
you go?
yes, let's
Okay,
go
I'll
for it.
I'll try to pick some good ones. Favorite collaboration so far?
To write love on her arms.
What? Okay, well, you get a bonus for that. What's another one?
That one was so legit though. I mean, like we did the T-shirt, and then like I got to sing with John Foreman. That was like
I love that answer, but I'm
that
biased.
was next level, next level. But I don't know.
What like
I
really surprised you? Maybe an opportunity that really
oh,
surprised you.
I think it was probably the first one that I ever got. It was a tea company called Peace Tea, and this is when I was kind of like a baby influencer, and I just don't even call myself an influencer. Like I
Yeah,
don't, I don't know, but it was. They were like, "Yeah, we'd love to work with you," and I was so nervous because I was like, "Well, I don't really post pictures of myself. Like, what do they want me to do?" But it was like a kindness campaign, and I got to make art, and I left art around the city, and it was so yeah, I think about that often because
yeah,
it became sort of like the okay, there's a way to sort of be an influencer like my way. Like I don't have to
yeah.
necessarily do it the way everyone else does it. So that one was really special.
I love it. Someone said thank you. What has brought you joy during quarantine?
Ooh, um, this is the first the first thing that came to mind was just takeout. Like that's the first thing I said.
Yes.
But really though, I I eating out is honestly one of my favorite things. Like I love going to restaurants, and that's just gone now. And it's been really sad. Some of our favorite places have shut
Mm.
down permanently, and that's been really tough. So I really do like enjoy hopping on like you know Postmates and stuff and finding like those apps are really good at showing you the local
Yeah,
restaurants, and
yeah,
they're really good at saying like here's some local places. So we found some places that we may not have even driven by or you know walked into,
mm,
and we've been able to discover some amazing food. And then this sort of bigger thing is just the support. Like I feel like people are just being a lot more open to being educated on things, and I just feel like I've seen a lot of people that I went to college with and people I've grown up with like just becoming more educated, and that's really encouraging. So that brings me a lot
yeah.
of joy.
All right, maybe we'll do one more from these folks. Dun, dun, dun. When the questions are longer, the words get very small. I like this one. I've heard you talk about this. Where do you find the most inspiration?
I find inspiration from real life situations and real life things that I find myself that I keep thinking about. So sometimes it's a negative, it's something that makes me angry. So if I see something that somebody posted some screenshot on their Instagram story and I'm like, oh, why would they post that? That's so blah, blah, blah. I try to take that. I'm like, how can I turn my response into art?
Yeah.
How can I turn, and I can't always do it, but sometimes there is a moment where I can say, how can I channel that anger that I feel into something positive and fruitful, even if it's just for myself, not necessarily for that person, but what do I need to hear when I've seen something that upsets me or offends me or hurts me? What do I need to hear? So I start there, and then sometimes it's something that I end up sharing with someone else. And then on the positive end, like I get really inspired by just random things, and I think I'm really good at noticing what inspired. Like for instance, the other day we were watching Captain Marvel, and there's a scene. This is super specific. Sorry, everyone, but
okay.
There's a scene at the end. I don't want to spoil it, but it was like a big scene. And there's a moment where I was just like, I don't like the song that they have playing at this moment. I think it should be another song. So I literally had my husband like mute the movie, and I picked up my iPhone and played the song that I thought should be there.
Yeah.
And then I went on like a whole 10-minute rant as to why I thought that should be the song for that moment. And then I just kind of backed away, and I was just like, wait a second, like what this song is about, it's because it represents this. Like this woman is doing that, and I'm like, oh, I should probably write about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, just kind of follow your curiosity, just the random quirky stuff that you're interested in that you don't think anybody else cares about. Like try to get to the heart of it, and yeah, that's what I try to do.
That's so good. In the comments, you can tell people are connecting and being encouraged. So thank you.
Oh, well, that's great. Thank you, guys. I enjoyed this.
I wanted to bring it back to the campaign before we let you go. Obviously, the campaign is built around these 3 words, worth living for. And I wonder how you relate to those 3 words. And specifically, we're asking people to finish the sentence, I'm living for. And the first video that we released at the launch of the campaign was based around the idea of a list, kind of inviting people to think about and even make a list. What are the things that make life worth living or worth living for? And I wonder if you could share some of those.
First off, I love it. I love it. I love it. I was so bummed because I got my package like right before we did this.
It's
okay. I was like, oh, so I didn't get to put my shirt on, but I love it. And the first thing that came to mind, I was just thinking, I'm living for, I don't know, this might sound weird, but I'm living for the next generation. That gives me a lot of hope. So, I'm a millennial, and Gen Z, y'all are crunk in all the best ways. I love it. I feel like the generation after us, like they're like, yeah, we'll take this torch and we're gonna make it twice as big, and
yeah,
we're gonna get things done. So
yeah, they're gonna fix some things, talk about some things.
Yeah, so I really do. I just think about that. I'm like, even my son's generation. He's obviously much younger, but I'm like, if I could just be just someone that like, because I have people that are older than me that I look up to, and I'm like, man, I'm so glad they said that. I'm so glad they paved the way for me. Like, I wouldn't be able to do poetry without Maya Angelou. Like, I wouldn't be able to be the artist that I am without the many nameless Black artists all across the world who paved the way so that I could be here. So I'm like, if I could just be a part of that continuum, I think that's special. So yeah, that keeps me going a lot. It keeps me reminded that this is way bigger than me, and that's a good thing. So yeah.
What else? What if I challenge you to make a longer list? If you have to throw some other names or things on there.
Yeah. I am living. I'm living for more people in my circle and in the world at large, but I'll make it super specific. More people that I know just waking up more. And not only just, I don't just mean like politically. I don't just, that's obviously an important part, but I hope that this year, people that I know, people that I care about, and myself were able to see like, yes, it's been tough, but we've had some time to look in the mirror now and really see the beauty that we have, the strength that we have, there's so many people we probably, myself included, I wouldn't, I mean, yeah, I might consider myself a strong person, but I think the strength that I found now, it's like, okay, I can handle it. I can, I have strength, I have resilience. And even when I'm not trying to be strong, it's innate, it's a part of me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm living for sunsets. I know that's so cheesy, but
No,
I don't
that's
care.
good.
That's another thing. I won't get on too much longer on soapbox. I know we've been
You're
here for a
good.
minute, but I've been sitting on this for a few days, so there may be a podcast or something I do about it. But I have been really sort of probing at this whole thing of like, people are like, and I know this might be kind of hard because you're Enneagram 4 and I'm a 4 wing, but just like being basic or just like the cliche things like sunsets. It's like
Yeah.
there's times I'll make a joke about it. I'm like, oh, that's so basic. And I'm like, and I
Yeah.
love it. So, I am living for some really basic things.
Yeah.
Sunsets and lattes.
No,
I
that's
love
good.
them. I love them. I love that little stuff. So, yeah.
I read, I
So,
got to find it and send it to you, but this Joan Didion quote yesterday where she talked basically about that. And she talked about like folding laundry, just all these things that make up everyone's normal and finding, I don't know how she worded it, I got to find it, but like finding joy and finding life
oh,
in the
yeah. Please send
mundane.
that to me. I don't know if I've seen
Yeah.
that from her. I love her. Yes.
No,
Yeah.
sunsets are good. You know who is a fan of sunsets, and we're both fans of him is John Foreman. So he gives
Really?
us permission. Like when John likes sunsets, it's like, oh yeah, sunsets are cool.
Yeah. It's like, absolutely. Now that you're saying that, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Love it.
Um, well, if it's cool, I'll keep you on as I wrap it up, if that's okay.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, just want to say thank you. Thank you for your time. Thanks for sharing your heart. And thank you guys for your comments and your questions. I'm sorry if
Yes.
we
So much
didn't get
fun.
to your question. A couple people asked about your store, Morgan. I assume that's in your Instagram bio.
Yes. It's called Garden 24, and then if you just click on my Instagram bio, it's there. So I'm working on Harper Nichols, and it's all right there. You could just find it there. So yeah.
Awesome. So thank you to Morgan. I always like to mention this is a cool surprise. Morgan is a To Write Love on Her Arms board member, which is exciting.
Oh.
She'll probably blush, but I say our board got a lot cooler when we added Morgan Harper Nichols. She's very humble. But Morgan, we're grateful for you, for your support, for your voice. I love that we were, even if we were one of your favorite collabs, we would be honored.
It really was. I'm not just saying that.
No, that's awesome.
Super special.
So to recap, you guys, we are here because of To Write Love on Our Arms, our World Suicide Prevention Day campaign, which launched a couple days ago. It's leading up to September 10th, which is World Suicide Prevention Day. Here in the United States, that's national, or it falls within National Suicide Prevention Week. You can learn more, you can get involved, worthlivingfor.com, worthlivingfor.com. Our team might help me out and put that in the comments. You can buy the t-shirt I'm wearing in one of our packs. You can add stickers, masks, bracelets. You can build your own World Suicide Prevention Day pack. You can donate. You can become a fundraiser. You can sign up for our community messages. You can be in the video that we're working on. Altogether, we're trying to raise $250,000, all of which will go to treatment and recovery. So all of that will go to professional help. And it translates specifically to 3,500 counseling sessions and 45,000 searches using our Find Help tool on TWLOHA.com. So our Find Help tool allows you to simply enter your zip code within our website, and you can choose some different filters and find people and places meeting mental health needs in your local community. And so we're proud of that. We love to be able to share that. And this whole campaign, everything we're doing, it's going to add up to people getting help. And hopefully, more than anything, people literally staying alive. And so we love that. Would love for you to be a part of it. Worthlivingfor.com. And we're going to keep doing this every week. So we'll actually be back on Tuesday, same time, 4 p.m. Eastern. And then on Thursdays, we're going to be doing a roundtable on Facebook. So we will keep you posted on that. Morgan, thank you again.
Thank you.
Enjoy your new home. And I'll send you that quote.
Yes, please do.
All
Bye,
right.
everybody. Have a good one.
Thank you, Morgan. Bye, guys.
Bye.